can't even explain.
I think it's actually, it is a little low.
It is, right?
You need me to move it?
Is it my ass? Is it my ass?
If it tip you out, is that, I'll give you a
No, I'm just
push
saying,
with my
it's just very low.
It actually is.
There, right? Yeah, they are.
It's fine.
So I have to sit up straight.
All right, good evening, everybody.
What a lineup this is. Wow.
Welcome to Bergen Catholic. My name is Bob Moran, class of 1983. My new role is the Director of Annual Giving here at Bergen Catholic. I retired from a company called TIAA, one of the largest institutional investors in the world. I worked there for 35 years and started here at Bergen Catholic in August. So, gentlemen, what do we do? Everything Bergen Catholic, what do we start with? Thank you. In the name of the Father, of the Son, of the Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Lord, we pray that you will create leaders among us, Catholic leaders, individuals made in your image, who will apply your teachings and the teachings of Blessed Edmund Rice in their lives and positively impact our families, our workplaces, our communities, and our church. Help us to inspire those with whom we come in contact to share their God-given talents. Grace is not to be possessed. It is to be shared and passed on. To do your will and to find a place in your kingdom where their deepest joys and the world's deepest hungers meet and cry for their special qualities and abilities. Lord, make us leaders with strength and courage to follow you, leaders who make your love visible to the world in all the words and actions. Blessed Edmund Rice, Blessed Edmund Rice, live Jesus in our hearts. All right, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Rocco, is it Brian or Ryan? I'm sorry. Did he say Brian or Ryan?
Now for the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone stand up. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, I would like to introduce the president of Bergen Catholic, Dr. Brian Mahoney.
Thank you, Bob, and I want to extend a warm welcome to everyone here tonight. Joining me also is Mr. Tim McNamee, our principal, so welcome, Tim. And before we go on any further, I have to tell you that there's a team of experts behind the scenes that have worked feverishly over the last few weeks to make all of this a reality. And I want to thank Tiffany Harris, and Claire Quinn, along with Bob. Thank you, Bob. This is a wonderful opportunity, and for the mentors in the room, I want to tell you what these young men did prior to this event. So for the first time ever, we hosted a young alumni reception and college fair up in our library where our current students were able to go into different classrooms and speak to the mentees that are in the room tonight and learn about their college experiences. So a big round of applause for all those who participated in that tonight. Thank you. And I also want to thank Andrew Moscow who's here tonight. I don't know if he may have to leave already, but Andrew also was instrumental in making that happen. And finally tonight, I want to tell you what a pleasure it is to partner with our Alumni Association. And I want to thank our president of the Alumni Association, Steve Estrelato, our vice president of the Alumni Association, John Corcoran, and our entire alumni board for all their help, hard work, and dedication to making this such a magical night. This is an unbelievable opportunity for all the young men here tonight to expand their networks, to see different trades, different fields, different opportunities and industries that are out there, and to understand what it takes to navigate your college life, your internships, and as you go on to your junior, senior year of high school, or college, and then go on to the job force for them. So we're very proud of all of that. We have a guest speaker tonight, and also we have the opportunity to work with a professional photographer. Carissa's over there, hello, to make sure you get your headshots tonight. It's going to be an outstanding night for Bergen Catholic, and I'm blessed that you're all here and wish you a wonderful night. And I want to thank the mentors for their time and sharing all of their time with us this evening. So a round of applause for all of you as well. Thank you. Now, my pleasure to give this back over to the president of our Alumni Association, Mr. Castro.
How's everyone feeling? Come on, I'm the energy guy. Can't you tell yet? How's everyone feeling? All right, amazing. Good, you guys. Flagship event. We've grown into this. You've got a lot of successful mentors here to help guide you in your careers. And I'm going to share a quick one-liner from our chairman, Michael Marcon, what he said to us. So you guys know, and this goes out to you guys too, the mentors. He told us that everyone looks up. Everyone looks up to Bergen Catholic. Okay? We're the muscular class, guys. So, we're cut above. Just remember that. Everyone looks up to Bergen Catholic. Right? So, what I'm asking you guys, please, don't be shy. We're here to help. All right? That goes to everyone here. I know if you don't know these guys, but don't be shy. We're here to help you guys out. All right? So with that, I want to, real quick, Carissa, do you want to come up real quick and just 2 seconds so you can explain what you're doing and get these guys?
I'm going to take a picture.
Oh, you're going to take a picture. Take a picture first. Hold on.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me. I'm Carissa. I'm the owner of Carissa Ichion Photography, and I'm a headshot and personal branding photographer. One of the easiest things that you could do is have an updated headshot on your LinkedIn profile. Your employer, even people you know, is going to consistently go on social media to look at you. And another quick tip, if you have a professional headshot, use it everywhere, especially when you're looking for a job. Not just LinkedIn. Use it on Facebook. Use it on Instagram, wherever you are, because your employer is going to go to all the social media platforms and look you up. So I hope this tip is helpful. And again, thank you so much for having me.
Big round of applause for Carissa. I want to introduce our big sponsor for tonight, Ernie. You got 30 seconds. You're wasting 5 already, bro. Faster, let's go.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Ernie Caponegro. I graduated 50 years ago from this school. Actually, with two other alumni. 50 years goes really fast. I started on Wall Street 2 years after graduation, got involved in investment banking, portfolio management, money management. Had a great time, met a lot of crazy people, including Jordan Belfort. If anybody watched The Wolf of Wall Street, he's not as bad as that, but he's terrible. So don't look at this guy as an image of what Wall Street's all about. After 9/11, my wife, who was a commercial underwriter at St. Paul Travelers, and I decided to move down to our beach house, and we opened up an insurance office. My kids went to Mondon and CBA. They talk about Bergen all the time. I'm active down there. I always give it to the guys from CBA about Bergen. But if you're looking at a career in insurance and financial services, I own an insurance office. I'm 60 seconds away from my house on the beach. I have over 6,000 clients that I've built up in the last 20 years. I love my job. I'm going to be 69 in a couple of months, and I don't even think about work every day. I enjoy myself. Every day's a challenge. I help people. I can't tell you how many checks I've handed to people who did planning with me and their husband or their wife or somebody died. And that's real satisfaction when you help somebody come back from a terrible situation. I probably put about 300 kids through college, helping 529 accounts. So we do everything. We do everything from commercial insurance to personal, home, auto, you name it. We have a full staff, and I encourage you guys. The average age in the insurance and financial service business on my end is 53 years old. Nobody's coming in. It's an exciting business. You can make a lot of money, and you can enjoy yourself and really help people. If you want to talk about it, just come on over to the corner.
I just have a comment. Ernie, can't you and the class here agree that down with Don Bosco?
Oh, my cousin went to Bosco, and every year we have a fight. Class is 75, but, what happened this year?
Okay.
But every
It's
time,
all right.
down with Bosco, absolutely.
There you go.
And I live down the block in Oradell, and everybody goes past my old house, and I just walk to school every year. And I tease my kids that I used to walk up the hill, and of course they would say, like you would say, "Oh, Dad, you walked in the snow and the rain, right?" I did. So, anytime, come on over.
Thank you.
Very nice.
years, huh? 50 years. Right? So I'm going to wrap with that, guys. We're the muscular class. It's 50 years. It's not just 4 years here at high school in Bergen. It's 4 years. It's forever. Okay? We're all here to help each other out. So with that, John, take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, thank you, Steve. In addition to the opportunity to meet with the mentors and learn, firsthand what some of these industries you're thinking about is, we try to have some sort of a program for just about a half hour or so, and a chance for an expert to give you their wisdom, and then for you to ask some questions that might even help you as you go out and talk to the mentor. So this year, we're really pleased to have Janelle Rizzino. And, I don't like long bios because it takes up too much time, but I like this one sentence she's got, which is, it's a boutique executive search firm specializing in placing top-tier C-suite to mid-level positions in disciplines like accounting, finance, and information technology, as well as marketing, sales, and business development. So I can tell you that the rest of us can tell you about industries. I've been career coaching for almost 35 years, and I have a very limited view of what happens every day with hiring managers. Nobody gets hired without the hiring manager. So I can coach people, but I can't say that I was with 40 hiring managers last week. Janelle can say that, and so can her associate, Joe. So she's going to talk to us, a little bit tonight. We're going to do a little panel, but she's going to give like an opening remarks, and then we're going to do more like a panel so that we can get as many questions from you guys and talk about everything that you want to talk about tonight. Okay, make sense? All right, good. I just want to tell you, go get a headshot tonight because an HR manager showed me some things that she got in on resumes, and then they went online and saw pictures on LinkedIn. People have pictures like with their buddies, and you look and you say, there's like an arm over here. They just like cut it out, cropped it. I'm telling you, you guys don't have to worry about the age thing, but they said they also throw out anybody that's like 60 that has a picture from when they were 35 because they're hiding something. We don't want them in our company. So, and then the other thing is if they don't have a picture at all, they're not even looking at LinkedIn, so they don't even want them. So, there's a lot of, you get 1,000 resumes, there's a lot of reasons to kick out 950 of them and only really look at 50 before you try to hire somebody. And so those are the kinds of things. So just, make sure you have your updated profile. I can't stress that enough. Janelle?
All righty. Thank you very much. Oh, my goodness. How is everybody tonight? Everybody feeling good? Good. I think we're going to have a little fun, and I think we're going to have a lot to talk about. So, first of all, John, thank you. Steve, thank you. And Brian Mahoney, thank you for having me here tonight. It's an honor. I walked into the room and I went, are you kidding me? This is a fabulous event. It's a great organization. I don't have kids that went to Bergen Catholic. I grew up in Connecticut. But just to look at some of the faces and just to look at some of the expressions on your face, you've got great attitudes, and that attitude has got to take you through the next several years. So with that, let's talk about a little about what's going on in the career world. I'd like to start off by saying, let's get one thing out of the way. No one's career looks the way they thought it would, especially today. The market has shifted, expectations have shifted, and success today isn't about waiting to be chosen. It's about being prepared, it's about being visible, and it's about being strategic. Whether you are a graduate entering the workforce or an alum navigating your next chapter, all the rules have changed. And that's actually good news. For decades, the advice was clear. Get the degree, get the job, work hard, stay loyal, and success would follow in a straight line. That worked for a while. It rewarded patience, it rewarded tenure, and it rewarded predictability. Today's market does not run on ladders anymore. It runs on value, adaptability, and trust. Companies no longer hire based on pure potential alone. They hire based on proven impact. I opened the first page of the pamphlet, and I noticed the individual with the title Impact Artist. And I thought that was fabulous. So that was a great idea. Careers are built sideways, not straight up anymore. Stability no longer comes from one employer. It comes from being useful in many environments. And not to job hop every year, but when you're exposed to different environments within your career path or where you're going, it makes good sense to have different pieces of the pie, whether it's from a different company, different divisions, whether it's international or domestic. This isn't the bad news, but it's different news. Because while the old rules are gone, new opportunities have opened up. And we all know what that is. The big elephant in the room is AI. Opportunities for people who can think, who can decide, who can lead and adapt when the playbook changes. And we're in that playbook change right now. By the way, I'm a big Packer fan. Any Packer fans in here? But yes, okay. So, and by the way, they will be the Bears, just so you know. So whether you're graduating or 20 years into your career, you can position yourself to benefit from it. Tonight isn't about chasing jobs. It's about building careers that can withstand change. And thank you for coming here tonight to hear us. Thank you.
Okay, so we don't have a fire here, but it's kind of like a fireside chat, and we want this to be interactive. So I have some questions that I want to ask you now, and kind of take it in order from the resume, which is like what happens before anybody meets you. We all have confirmation bias. Someone tells you about something, you see something about them. When you meet them, you already have some idea in your head, whether it's a friend, relationship, a business situation. So the resume is the best way to find a confirmation bias for the person that's seeing the resume, and that's the precursor to you coming in, if you even get to go in. Because maybe they don't like the resume, and so you don't get there. So let's start with the resume. Let's not go to accepting the offer. Starting with the resume, give me one question that you would have for Janelle. If you only have one question tonight that you want to ask, and you could leave after that question, what would you ask Janelle right now? Anybody? It doesn't matter. Here, go ahead. What stands out what?
What stands out most on the resume? Experience,
Okay, so what stands out most on the resume is the question, and the answer is?
All right, well, can you hear me without the microphone? You can, okay. What stands out on the resume is what you've done. What have you accomplished in the last maybe couple of years? Whether they're internships or whether you've gotten involved in community. I look at...
They can't hear you in the back.
They can't,
All those
okay.
guys in the back.
Got it?
It's on, I think.
It's on. You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Thank you. On the resume, I look for what you've done. If you haven't graduated yet or just graduated, so an internship is probably imminent. And what companies will look for, I look for, is what you've done, over the last couple of years. Did you follow the industry you were interested in? Did you follow your heart in terms of what you wanted to do? Or were you just kind of marking time? GPA does matter in some cases, but I'm sure everybody here is quite smart. 3.9, 4.0, I would imagine. So that's what jumps out at me, and that's what I look for, especially in an intern.
So when it comes to the resume, whether we're blindly sending it out or whether someone says, hey, I know somebody that's hiring, give me your resume, I'll walk it in and give it to them personally, that will get you. But Janelle, why don't you share with them what could they do to tailor the resume for the job? From what I've learned from people in your position, and I think you might have even said it when we were on a panel together back in the summer, but that they can smell a resume that where you wrote one out, you took days and years to figure it out, put it through AI, make sure it's perfect, and then just shoveled it out to everybody. And that to the hiring manager, they're saying, you didn't take any time to customize this for me. Well, I'm taking time to interview you. You want an interview? Show some respect for me and give me something. What do they need to put in there so that they stand out, in their own resume?
All right, so that's a big word, stand out. How do we stand out? You don't mind if I stand, John?
Stand out. Stand out. Stand out.
You don't mind. You want to stand out, right? What is the differentiating factor in every one of you? You each have a gift. You each have a talent. You each have a differentiating factor that somebody wants to hire you instead of the other 4 people that walked in there today, into their office. So why should they hire you? So on a resume, you want to make sure that there's a differentiating factor as to why that person wants you instead of somebody else. And how do you do that? Think about what's going on in here. What do you love? What's your passion? Companies want to know if you're serious, right? They want to know that you want to work for me. Tell them you want to work for them. Don't, it's a job and I'm, just graduated and, this is the kind of thing. No, tell them, I want to work in this company for this reason. And that's a differentiating factor.
Can I just add?
Yes.
I think something that's really powerful too is I imagine you all have LinkedIn profiles that you've actively been working on. So quite often the LinkedIn profile itself becomes the de facto resume. And regarding what Janelle just said, let's just say for argument's sake someone in here is interested in civil engineering. Well, you can say that on the resume, but what you'll have on your LinkedIn page is people and groups you're following related to civil engineering. You're going to make commentary regarding a project or something that's of interest to you. And by the way, if you're meeting with, John Smith at a particular firm and you see some of the interests that John has, you can make reference to that on your LinkedIn profile. That's how you make those soft connections. So again, resume is good, but a resume could be somewhat static. Your LinkedIn page will become the content that you update regarding what you're doing in your field of choice, in the community, etc. I think it's really important.
Right. Excellent.
Just one tip on that. The person who career coached me after I needed to change industries. I had a business that failed, and then I had to get back into the workforce after working for myself for 3 years, and I knew that I couldn't do it on my own. I was 35 years old, and the coach gave me some examples of how to customize our resume, and he gave me one where the person wrote this beautiful resume, and they did an internship at Disney. Well, you would think, gee, that's pretty interesting. So he says to him, what did you do? And the kid says, well, I was actually goofy. I was one of the characters because I had some theater classes. Even though I was a business major, they told me I could be one of the characters, and that was kind of cool. So like 4 days a week I did the character, and then one day I worked in the accounting office. So he goes, change the wording on that. So they changed the wording and said, I was goofy at Disney World. Well, the people that wanted to meet him to talk about Disney, he got all these interviews just because of that. Now, he had to have some credibility afterwards, because if he didn't, it would have been a great meeting for the employer saying, oh, I want to talk to somebody who worked at Disney, but he got the interview. Just remember that the resume is only supposed to get you an interview. In my 35 years, no one ever got a job from a resume. I never worked with anybody that said, this is a great resume, John, go hire this person. It's like, this is a great resume, hire him, and I want to meet him. And then I would go out. So we put so much in, it's kind of like wearing 12 suits. You can't decide between 2 suits, so you wear both of them. It's like overkill. You wouldn't do that. But we'll put like pages of stuff in here. What's going to get you the interview? And that's how I think you have to think about, all I want is the interview. Then we worry about the next question. One more question about the resume before we go into the interview piece. Anybody? One more question about resume?
Okay. John, I just want to add one more thing. One aspect regarding the resume is the resume itself, and there'll be many resumes that the hiring manager is going to see. One key thing is to get beyond the resume. So you have a great network here, mentorship here, you have networks you're building out. The best thing you can do for yourselves is if you want to work for a particular company, you want to be introduced to that company by someone who's already in the company who has a relationship. That gives you a much higher chance of both getting insight to the opportunity that you'd be interviewing for, but a much better chance to be, the 3 people that they're going to speak to. So the resume, again, is important, but those soft things you'll do to get the interview is, I'd say, more important than just the physical resume itself.
So most of you guys here, I know that there's some of you who are still at Bergen, that are students, but those of you that have already graduated, that have at least been on some interviews, just by a show of hands, how many of you have had interviews from just a resume that went out and then you were able to get an interview for that job? Okay. All right. Those of you that had interviews, how many of you were able to get interviews from people who connected you the way Joe just said? How many of you got interviews from connections out there? Okay. All right. So it works both ways. You know, you can't rely on, I tell people that you can't just rely on sending out resumes and sitting there waiting for the phone to ring or your computer to ding, right? But you also shouldn't just rely on networking, even though networking is important. And in my career, I'm a classmate of Ernie, so I just celebrated 50 years out of Bergen, and I never got a job in all my life. I've had probably 20 jobs. I started working at 19 for Lipton, and I was the youngest sales rep in the country for them, and that never even got to go on my resume because I never had a resume. I got hired from Lipton to someplace, to someplace, to someplace, and so I wouldn't even, you would never want to talk to me about how to do a resume. But I can tell you that that there are people who you have a license, you have something that's needed by your employer. If you position it right, like Janelle said, you're going to get more jobs from your resume because they're looking for somebody like you, and you've got what it takes. But like when you're a salesperson, it's kind of like, I don't know what to do with that person. You know, you're in business development. I don't have a license to sell. I could just do it. So I more or less networked because I always felt that I didn't have enough to go on the resume anyway. And once I got my first job at 19, I did finish college. They paid for my school, but it was just, I waited until something came along and I said yes or I said no. But not everybody has that luck to get their first job at 19, and then I'm 69 now, so that's 50 years of working. But I enjoy what I do right now, so definitely enjoy what you're doing. Let's talk about the interview. So before we get into that, a question about interviews, something that frustrates you, something that you want to know, that if you could walk away tonight, you feel you could nail the next interview. What would that be, so Janelle can share that with us? Anybody?
John, a question about the resume before you move. You have a suggestion for the boys about brevity in your resume? I mean, resumes in my office sometimes are like a file.
That's what I said. The resume only gets you the interview, and people put, it's like wearing two suits to the interview. So if they put too much into the resume, people don't have time to look at it. Even AI will get confused with it because it'll be just too much. And then based on the parameters, AI will kick it out because the hiring manager puts parameters in for AI to do it, and they're going to knock that thing right out. But as far as so anyway, you had a question about the interview?
Yeah. When they get to the end of the interview and they ask you if you have any questions, what are some good types of questions that you can prepare?
Okay, so the question is, at the end of the interview, hopefully, and most of the time they do, they'll say, well, listen, it's been great to meet you. Do you have any questions for me before you leave? What are some good ones?
So, great questions to ask. Typically, people will say to you, make a list of 3 questions about the firm. Make them impactful, though. Make them interesting. People want to hire people who are interesting, that have energy, that have excitement about them. So, listen, is there anything that you didn't hear today that you wanted to hear that I didn't hit? Right? You want to ask that question. You want to ask the question so that you can close that deal. Right? Why do you want that company? Why do you want that job? You're great at what you do. You know you can be great at what you do in that role. Tell them and ask them, is there anything that you didn't hear that I didn't say that you wanted to hear? Or didn't cover? It's a good question to ask because it gets the other side talking.
Can I just add to it? Oh, please, John, go ahead.
Well, one of the things that Janelle lives by is that skills can be taught, but attitude cannot.
No.
And one of the things about the attitude in her answer was humility. You're saying, I probably missed something. And so if I did, what would you want to hear from me that I didn't say?
Right.
It doesn't mean we're not good. It doesn't mean we're putting ourselves down. We're showing humility. And that person on the other end, I guarantee you that they left stuff out of presentations in their career. So all you're doing is putting yourself on the same level as them. So there's a difference between asking somebody's advice about the industry and going to a boss and saying, hey, where do you see the industry going? But if you go to your boss and you say, how do I do my job? It's like, I hired you because I thought you know how to do your job. So some people say, well, I don't like asking questions of people and getting their opinion because it makes me look stupid. Only if you're supposed to know how to do something and you ask somebody that you're with that knows you're supposed to know it and you don't know it. I'd go somewhere else outside and figure that out. But to ask your boss or somebody above them in the company, hey, you know, I'm looking at this trend. What's your opinion on that? What insights do you have about that? They're going to love you for it. Plus, they're going to think you're smart because you think they're smart, because you're asking their opinion. So I think, you know, asking that question about what would you want to hear today so I could close the deal, I think that's important.
Right. And by the way, humility is great, but what you should have is a little bit of gravitas about yourself. You know, and just let them know that you're good at what the role is going to offer.
Joe, what do you got to say?
And I was going to say, one thing you always want to do is create that connection. So part of the interview process, you're going to know who you're going to be speaking with. So you'll certainly do background on who the individual is, what their interests are, and pretty much what I said earlier regarding LinkedIn, understanding something about someone. If you see that they volunteer in a certain area or have a particular interest in the same common field that you're interviewing for, having the ability to talk to that early on to create that soft connection takes the edge off both you and the person who's interviewing you. So I think it's real important, the preparation piece, and try to create that personal connection on the front end of a sit-down with an interview, because you don't want to be in a situation where you know, you're both trying to fill each other out. That's a natural part of the process, but you want to try to create that personal connection.
And then one other good question that I find with people that have been very successful with, and when they ask you that, is to ask them, you know, and if you can pull this off, it might take you a couple of meetings to be able to do this, but if you said, well, I do have one, if I were to be working for you, say next week, what are the biggest challenges I would face on the job? Challenges. You didn't say how to do the job, or I don't know how to do. What would be the biggest challenges I might face? You watch the face of the employer or the prospective, you know, the hiring manager telling you that and giving you an answer. They're going to be impressed that you took the time, especially as somebody under 30, asking that question. You're asking, what are the biggest challenges I might face? And if they don't know what challenge you would face, then I don't know if I want to work for them. I'm not talking about an HR manager or a screener. I'm talking about the hiring manager. You've now you moved in, and now you're talking to your potential boss. And if you ask that person what challenges, you know, let's say I was working for you next week. Now you're putting in his mind, and he's answering the question, or she's answering the question, thinking about you in that position. So you're psychologically playing a little bit of a mind game. And then when they ask that question, they're thinking, oh, them to do, because I've got a ton of stuff that I need help with. If I didn't have a problem, I wouldn't be hiring somebody. So they got a problem. There's some problem. I don't have enough people. I don't have enough capacity. I have problems that we have. We just made a new acquisition, you know, and you know, so it's sometimes, believe it or not, the employer is as desperate to have you go work for them as it is for you to go work as much as you want to do. You want the job, they want you. And when you put yourself in that position, that question and the ones that Joe and Janelle said, you know, think about those. Stay away from, you know, what are the benefits and, you know, how much vacation do I get? Because that's not going to close the deal, I promise you.
Get them engaged.
Yeah.
You know, get them engaged.
And I'm just going to add to that. One thing you can ask is, you know, on your team, who's an example of success? In other words, who would you want me to become? Because your ask could also be, you want to create that connection and you want to get things post-interview. What you're asking is, who can I speak to on the team who's been successful that you'd want me to be in this role? So it's one way of getting a follow-on interview, as they would want you to go through meeting with the team. And also you're going to get great insight, because you may learn that this is not the position you want based on what you get from an individual who's telling you about what's required to be successful.
Okay, any those are maybe a question from somebody that's been through the process and toward the end of the process, after you've met with the screeners or whatever. Do you have any questions about the interview leading into the offer or anything like that for Janelle? This way we took it from the resume on to there, and then we can see where we're going with that.
By the way, there were some hands.
Wait, there's one, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just one question here. Your thoughts on sending thank you notes after the kind of interview, after this interview, you know, so many years? Is that still something like...
Oh, my God, that's got to be one of the best things to do. And the reason for it is because the attitude about sending a handwritten note, it reminds the individual of the fact that you're thinking about them. You know, you're continually thinking about them. And today, in this digital world that we live in, whether it's well, it's any of the digital platforms, whatever it is, getting a handwritten note today makes people feel like they matter. And you want to make people feel like you matter. Always write that thank you note. And by the way, a good question to ask an interview, and I'd love to hear from somebody who just had an interview. One of the questions you can ask is, so let me ask you a question. What is the one thing or the one person that makes you run in here every day? I want to know that. Because if I'm going to come work here, I want to know why people like to work here. It engages that interviewer a little bit more and gives you a little more insight into the company.
Another question? What?
And who had an
We have 2
interview?
minutes left, so
Yeah, who had an interview recently?
Being that probably north of 50% of first-time jobs for college graduates are in sales, is there any tips that you guys would give these gentlemen regarding, sales? Half of the guys right here are going to a sales-oriented position, if that math holds. Is there anything unique about an interview for a sales position that these guys should know? There's different career paths, obviously, but half of this group is going to be selling something. Insurance services, warehouse space, you name it. But salespeople are kind of a unique breed, and I don't know if interviews look for specific skill sets relative to salespeople. So.
Are you a salesperson?
yes.
I'm a consultant.
I'm sorry?
Consultant.
All right, you're a consultant. All right, so,
But he's
all
a
right.
sales- but you're
Yeah,
a
you're
salesman.
in development. Okay. So you want to know how many people in here right now could go into the sales side?
The math suggests that graduates from college
Will do, right.
their first career, 50% of
Right.
collegiate
Yep.
graduates, their first step into the business world would be in a sales position.
Right?
So the question is, how do we help these guys get that sales job? What do those employers look for,
Oh,
right, as far as sales go? I mean, I think it's very intuitive, but for some of these
Yeah.
guys, maybe it's a way to assess themselves. Am I right for a sale? Am I a front of the house guy? Am I like people? Am I energized by people? Am I afraid of rejection? Maybe I should be a back of the house analyst. Or, do I consider high risk, high reward? Right? I'm more than willing to put my face in the fan if people will
Right.
pay me a lot of money to do it.
all right, so why don't we ask them? Anybody here want to be a sales rep, salesperson, business development? No, 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 no. Nobody wants to be business development. Wow.
I'm sorry. Everybody's a salesperson.
Thank you.
When you go out on a date, you're selling. When you try to get something from your parents, you're selling. You have to believe in yourself that you're true and honest in what you're selling. And you have to learn to communicate. Take a class in public speaking. As a Boy Scout leader, I was amazed at how many kids were afraid to say anything. Put the phone down.
Can I say
Talk
something
to
that you want to do?
Of course.
If you don't talk to somebody, nothing's going to happen. Even if you're an analyst. The analyst is going to, somebody's going to come over to you and say, what did you do today? You got to tell them. Otherwise, you're going to be on an unemployment line. That's my 2 cents.
Go ahead.
And my 2 cents are, I agree, everyone's a salesman, but really what you are is you're a problem solver, you're a business enhancer, you're looking to improve someone's outcomes. You're going to do all those things and more in whatever role you have. And selling is also about attitude, which Janelle said earlier. When you come for an interview, meet with a new client, meet a new girlfriend, whatever it may be, upbeat attitude is 90% of it. You've heard the term,
Energy.
it's about showing up.
Energy.
Showing up is a big part of it. What separates you from everyone else is what you do above and beyond that. But attitude, energy, positivity, good smile, great headshot are the differentiation. And knowledge. Obviously knowledge about who you're speaking to and what problems they may have that you're going to try to solve or enhance as in better outcomes.
All right, let's have a round of applause for Janine and Joe coming out tonight. Thank you so much for being here. They're going to be here at a table, so when you're making the rounds, if any of you have any further questions, feel free to come by and see them as you're making the rounds. But also just another shout-out round of applause for all the mentors that come in. I know they don't want to be thanked. Just having you guys show up is enough. but I just want to acknowledge them that they came out because they want to be here for you, and you don't know who they know that they could connect you with, even if something in their field isn't for you. They might be impressed with you because you know how to talk to them, and they might say, hey, I know a friend who needs somebody. And so the connections that have come from the last dozen years that we've been doing this, I can tell you a lot of connections. One gentleman brought 4 people with him to his table and said, these 4 are now working for me, and they all came from the career night here. And so he was just making a statement. So now he's too busy to come to career night, so he didn't come this year. But anyway, let me turn it back over to Steve. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You guys like it? Yeah? All right. Well, we got a little gift for you. You and Joe here.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a laptop case.
Oh, thank you so very much.
Thank you very, very much.
We'll take a picture of it, though. But thank you, everyone. You guys enjoyed that, right? You found it beneficial? Yeah, we're not here. They're not playing around. And Ernie, thank you for sharing, right? Everyone's here to help support you guys. It's just a different climate right now. It's not the same when we went to high school or even college. It's just different. So you really build these personal relationships, and that's what we're here for today. So, guys,